Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai, Thai Gaura Premanande. So today we wanted to discuss about Lord Balaram. So this is Krishna Balaram. We worship them every day. They are on our altar. And this is Shyama Sundar, Krishna, Shalagram, Sheila. And this is Dwaka Sheila. And it said that if he has more than 10 chakras, then he is considered to be Lord Balaram. So we worship Balaram today. He's very kindly come as Dwaka Sheila. So we wanted to request the kind good wishes of the devotees present, and your blessings that we can say something to please Lord Balaram today. Okay, so now this is the eighth avatar. Is it the eighth? 9, 10. Yeah, eighth avatar. That's right, the eighth avatar. And sometimes actually people regard that Krishna is the eighth avatar. However, the scriptures, especially the Srimad Bhagavatam, explains that Krishna is actually the fountainhead of all the avatars. And he's known as Avatari. And there's a wonderful verse in the Bhagavatam which describes his position. And this is from the first canto, 3rd chapter, 28th verse. So we can say this together. It's a very beautiful verse. Ete jamsa kalapumsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indrari Vyakulam Lokam Jayanti Yuge.
All of the above-mentioned incarnations are either blended portions or portions of the blended portions of the Lord. But Lord Shri Krishna is the original personality of Godhead. All of them appear on planets wherever there is a disturbance created by the atheists. The Lord incarnates to protect the thesis.
So this line here especially is very nice. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Very easy to remember. Only 4 words, and 2 of them are very simple. Krishna and Bhagavan. And 2 is easy. And Swayam, original. So Krishna is the original personality of God. Krishnastu Swayam, Bhagavan Swayam. Very, very nice words. So that explains that Krishna is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. So actually Balaram is regarded to be, in the scriptures, the 8th avatar. And he's also the first expansion of Krishna known as the Prakash Vaibhav. If you recall, we went through the different gods incarnation avatars in one seminar, and we were discussing how Krishna is Swayam Roop, the original form of the Lord, who never leaves Vrindavan. He always stays in Vrindavan. His first expansion actually is as Swayam Prakash, from whom manifests 2 types of forms. One is the Prabha Prakash, and these are exactly the same as the original Supreme Lord. And the example is when they do the Ras dance, he expands himself as Prabha Prakash, non-different from his original form. They look the same. They may do different activities. They don't have to follow, they're not like a shadow. Each form is independent of each other. But it's exactly the same as the original. And then the second part is the Vaibhav Prakash, where, which is Lord Balaram. His expansion is different color and different mood. So we can see the differences between the Swayam Roop and Prakash Vaibhav is that, for example, Balaram is white in color, whereas Krishna is bluish blackish color. And his mood is different as well. The mood of Prakash Vaibhav, or Balaram, is to please Krishna, serve Krishna. That is his mood. He's Supreme Lord, but in the mood of servitor. Lord Balaram, what does he do? He creates his spiritual world, which consists of the planets of Golok, Vrindavan, like we discussed before, and Vaikuntha. So this is the Praman for that is in the Madhya Leela Chaitanya Charitamrita. And he expands himself into Maha Shankarshan. And then later on, through further different expansions, he creates the material world. And this is a little idea of, it's like a family tree of Krishna. So from Krishna comes first Balaram, then we have the Chatur view, first Chatur view, then we have Narayan, who's the predominant deity in Vaikuntha. And then from Narayan comes the second Chatur view. And then from Shankarshan comes the three Vishnus, who are effectively in charge of the creation of this world. So Balaram, also he expands himself into Anantashesh, the great serpent, and he lies on the Kaushal ocean, and he serves as a couch upon whom Mahavishnu reclines as well. So this is from the Brahma Samhita, 5th chapter, 47th verse. So this Anantashesh is regarded as Satyaveshavata, actually is an expansion of Balaram. He's a devotee incarnation of God who knows nothing but service to the Lord. He has 1,000 heads, 1,000 mouths, and he's singing endlessly the glories of Lord Krishna, and since time immemorial, and still hasn't found an end to the glories. So you can see how glorious the Lord is, and his incarnation, Balaram, is always glorifying him. Balaram also expands himself to serve as Krishna's paraphernalia, including the Dham itself, Vrindavan Dham, when he comes to this planet. So Balaram, and the different items like the umbrellas, the slippers, the bedding, the pillow, garments, resting chairs, residence, sacred thread, the throne, the pastoral, everything is an expansion of Balaram. He just serves the Lord to his heart's content. So everything in connection to the Lord and his pastimes, paraphernalia, is Balaram. So Balaram exemplifies the service attitude to Krishna. His only mission is to please Krishna by rendering service to him. And he's his eternal companion as well. In the incarnation as Ram, when Krishna came as Ram, Balaram came as Lakshman. At that time, he came as the younger brother of Ram. And he had to perform, he served the Lord because he loved serving the Lord. But there were a few tasks he performed which weren't necessarily to his liking. So, because he had to obey the order of his older brother. So when they were ordered to go to the forest, for example, he wasn't particularly keen on that. Of course, he didn't have to go himself, but he wasn't keen for Ram to go. And there were a few other incidences. And at that time, he said to himself that next time, or from now on, I'm going to come as the older brother and serve the Lord to my heart's content. So as Balaram, he came as older brother, Dauji. And as the incarnation after that, in the pastime of Lord Chaitanya, he came as Lord Nityananda. Again, older to Lord Chaitanya. He's also regarded as the original spiritual master. And anybody desiring to make spiritual progress must get the mercy of Lord Balaram. So the spiritual masters who give shelter to the disciples, their ultimate source of inspiration is from Lord Balaram. He is the original supreme spiritual master. So whenever Krishna appears in this world, he is accompanied by his associates in his paraphernalia. So 5,000 years ago, over 5,000 years ago, Krishna descended into this material world. But first, he was preceded by Balaram. Only after Balaram gave his mercy to this world did Krishna descend. And this is the intimate relationship between Krishna and Balaram. So we know the pastime of Devaki and Vasudeva when the 6 children came and they were killed by Kamsa. The 7th appeared in the womb of Devaki, and she could understand this was a very divine personality in her womb. And they were all concerned about his safety. And even Kamsa sensed that this is a special personality that's come. He became very fearful, thinking that it's supposed to be the 8th child who's going to kill me, but it might even be the 7th. But at this time, Krishna instructed Yoga Maya, his own Maya, not Mahamaya, which we are subject to. But Yoga Maya is a special Maya, which can even, as service to Krishna, cover him sometimes and cover Balaram. So he instructed Yoga Maya to transfer the child from the womb of Devaki to that of Rohini, one of the other queens of Vasudeva. And Rohini at that time was living with Nanda Maharaj Gokul. So in this way, Rohini, so Balaram was born in Gokul under the protection of Rohini, and she was under the protection that time of Nanda Maharaj. So Gagamuni, he revealed to Rohini that the child that she was carrying was indeed the son, the son of her husband Vasudeva. And at the time of the name-giving ceremony that took place about a year after they were born, Balaram was called Ram, one who gives pleasure, because he was so strong. He would be known as Balaram. Bal means strong, so that's second name. And because he was forcefully attracted to the womb of the Rohini, he also is going to be called Sankarshan. It's another name for Balaram. And as the son of Rohini, he's also known as Rohini Nandan, very beautiful name. And as the elder brother of Krishna, he's known as Dauji. So he's got quite a few names. He's got more names than just that. This is the pastime when Garga Muni is naming both Krishna and Balaram. Both brothers were exquisitely beautiful, with black hair, eyes like lotus petals. The only difference between them was the color. Krishna was bluish black, like a thunder cloud, and Balaram was like a cotton wool. Very, very beautiful. This is a little idea how beautiful they were. Every time Rohini and Yashoda would see their child babies, they would be amazed. They would be even wondering, wow, is this glorious jewels or glorious flower garlands? Because each feature had, of their features had very special qualities. And every day they would look at them, beauty would just get enhanced more and more. They would get mesmerized by the beauty of these children. Lord Balaram's beauty is enhanced by the earring touching his cheeks, and his face is decorated with tilak mark from musk. His broad chest is garlanded with fragrant forest flowers. His voice is very grave, and his arms are very long. The splendor of Lord Balaram's transcendental form eclipses many millions of glistening rising moons. So Balaram is Krishna's dearest and closest friend. He knows, of course, the supernatural power of Krishna, but he would never leave him alone, even for a moment, especially in the forest. And when Balaram first appeared, actually, he came on the Purnima before Lord Krishna appeared in the month of Shravan. So that was 8 days before Krishna's appearance. He didn't speak at all. He didn't make any sound. And they performed many yagyas for his protection because they were a little worried, right? That he wasn't saying and he wasn't making any sound. But when Krishna appeared, that's what he was waiting for. So after that, he made his sounds, etc. So eternally, Lord Balaram actually looks like a 16-year-old boy, and he wears blue garments. And why does he wear blue garments? Does anybody want to have a guess as to why Balaram wears blue garments and why Krishna actually wears yellow garments? Anybody like to have a go at answering that question? Why does Balaram love wearing blue?
Pitamba?
And why does Krishna love wearing yellow?
Yes, he loves Balram. I think he is fair and he loves Balram. So it's symbolic of each other, I think.
Yes.
Color.
Krishna, why Balaram wears blue? Because Krishna is blue.
Yeah, that's what I say, symbolic. Yeah.
Right. And why does Krishna wear yellow?
Yes,
Oh, goldish?
goldish because Balram is goldish, fair and gold.
Oh, Radharani. Actually, Balaram is white. He's like if you see a cotton wool ball, he's like that white, or ivory, or makhan, yeah, makhan white, or ivory color white. Very beautiful white. Thank you, Neelamben. That's very good. So,
Preeti?
Hare Krishna. Prabhu, I heard somewhere that you're not meant to wear certain colors at the temple, and I think red, yellow, blue. I can't remember if those were the colors, but there was something similar to that. Why is that? What were the colors, and why is that?
that's right. Blue is regarded to be in the mode of ignorance, right? And red is passion. Yellow is good. Yellow is considered to be mode of goodness. But blue is generally avoided. But this blue, of course, of Krishna is not a bluish color. It's that of a freshly formed dark rain cloud. So it's like a bluish, blackish color. It's a very unique color, which obviously we don't really understand how beautiful that color is. But generally, a blue is considered to be more ignorance.
Okay, and thank you, Prabhu. And also, where did you hear about Balaram didn't say anything until he had darshan of Krishna? But where did you hear that from? Because it's the first I've heard.
Yeah,
that was a class by Amarendra.
Yeah.
So he's obviously done a lot of research.
Okay.
Yeah. Interesting. We didn't know that either.
Yeah, actually, when I was listening to his classes on Balaram, I heard him do that.
Yeah.
It's a bit like Radharani, she kept her eyes closed until she saw Krishna, similar to that.
Yeah, cool.
Okay, so his handsome hair is tied in a graceful knot. He has beautiful earrings adorning his ears. His neck is splendidly decorated with garlands of flowers and strings of jewels. He's got splendid armlets and bracelets, ornament, dowji's graceful and very strong arms. And his feet are decorated with splendid jeweled anklets. This is a really wonderful picture or painting that somebody has drawn. Really seems to capture the mood of Lord Balaram. Very, very graceful, very beautiful, very strong, very kind, merciful. And this is Krishna and Balaram in the traditional this is the sort of temple, Vrindavan temple, Krishna Balaram pose, where one time Prabhupada was asking a question, who's stronger, Krishna or Balaram? So devotees would answer, oh, Balaram, because Bal means strong. Then Prabhupada would say, then how come Balaram is resting his hand on Krishna? So it's very interesting. So during their childhood, Krishna and Balaram, they would keep their mothers very busy in transcendental anxiety because they would crawl everywhere. And then when they were walking, they'd run or walk or run everywhere. And they would be engaged in their transcendental pranks. And Balaram would assist Krishna in these delightfully naughty pastimes. Sometimes Balarama used to initiate some of these naughty pastimes himself. And this is one example where when they were crawling, they would walk under walk under the feet of the calves. The mothers would always be anxious that they won't get trampled. But of course, the calves and the cows would be very careful. And sometimes they would grab the tail of the calf, and the calf would be wondering, what's going on? And run, and Krishna would hold on to her tail and then be flying across the fields in Braj. Very beautiful pastimes. So, and then sometimes they would perform naughty pastimes together, many times in fact, and Krishna and Balaram would assist Krishna in these pastimes, sometimes let Krishna climb on him to collect or pick the butter pots from the ceiling. And what was that pastime you were saying?
Mm-hmm. Sometimes, like because Balaram is so white, he'd cover himself with all the makhan. So when the gopis would catch them, they would run away, but makhan would be on Balaram. So Krishna would be able to taste that makhan afterwards, from Balaram's hands or whatever. So, because the gopis couldn't see that there was still makhan on Balaram, because it was the same sort of color.
But makhan on Krishna would look
that's right.
would stand out because he's got a blackish body and the makhan is white.
Yeah, so Krishna would make sure, there's makhan on Balaram so he could have it later.
So when they were young, they had wonderful pastimes. One time Balaram told Mother Yashoda, Krishna's eating dirt of Vrindavan. This is just to increase the pleasure that Krishna was deriving from his relationship with Mother Yashoda. So this Vatsalya Ras was enhanced by Lord Balaram. He told on Krishna. And of course, Krishna, he would say things like to Mother Yashoda, don't listen to Balaram. He's not always, on my side. Don't listen to him. And they would have wonderful pastimes. There's Balaram there telling, she told Mother Yashoda, so Mother Yashoda is looking to the mouth. This is a wonderful pastime, which we haven't got time to talk about today, but we will do at one point. Then the boys, they used to go, so at the age of 6, they were given charge of the Gomatas, and they would go to the pasturing grounds together, Krishna and Balaram. Mother Yashoda would tell Balaram, make sure you look after Krishna. And Balaram would hold Krishna's hand, and they would wander off into the forests, and they would, in time, play games with the other Sakhas and the Gopas. And they would play many different games, really having incredible transcendental pastimes, hide and seek, and they would play football, not the sort of football that we see on the television, with the different types of fruits. They would imitate the sounds of the different animals. They would dance, play, wrestle. They would just be in a world of their own. And Balaram would assist Krishna in these pastimes. They would relish these pastimes with the Sakya. And this is Sakya Ras, friendship Ras. Balaram, in Braj, he only actually killed 2 demons. One was Dhenukasura, who came in the form of a donkey. And he occupied one of the forests in Vrindavan, Talavan. No one used to go to those forests, but one day the cowherd boys, led by Krishna Balaram, went there. And these pastimes would normally take place round about lunchtime, just before lunchtime. And these demons wouldn't get in the way of their playing. They would come at such a time when it was just the right time to stop playing and start having some lunch. In between, they would have some fun with the demons. So in this case, this demon came, he was furious because these Sakhas had entered the forest making noise, and they were shaking the trees. So he attacked Balaram with his legs, rear legs, but Balaram easily picked him up by his legs, and he whirled him around, and I think he threw him against the tree. Many fruits fell out of the trees, and Krishna and Balaram and the Gopa friends enjoyed those fruits, and they enjoyed a very nice lunch. And actually, every demon that they killed, there was a lesson to learn from that. This was at the age of 5 years, 10 months. And Dhenukasura, being a donkey who represents us in the sense that we're ignorant of spiritual knowledge. It's like the donkey, a carrot is dangled in front of him, and he'll be working very hard, not understanding the carrot is in front of him. He'll be running after the carrot. But in that way, he'd be made to work because of ignorance. And similarly, we are completely ignorant of spiritual knowledge. And the reason Balaram killed Dhenukasura was because he is the original supreme spiritual master. The spiritual master gives knowledge, so he destroys ignorance. So by destroying the Dhenukasura, he's also instructing us that he can destroy our donkey-like mentality and put us on the spiritual path, if we allow him to, of course. So that's very instructive. The second demon that he killed in Banbraj was Balambasur, who came disguised as a cowherd boy. This demon was sent by Kamsa, and he came at a time when one of the cowherd boys could not join the group, so he came disguised as that cowherd boy. And Krishna and Balaram, they knew that this is a demon, but they pretended that they didn't know, and they were playing as they always played. And the demon, one of the games that they would play was carry each other on their shoulders. So this demon, he got on the shoulder, Balaram got onto the shoulder of the demon, and the demon was carrying him out of the range of play, and he was running quite fast, but Balaram made himself heavier and heavier, and then eventually the demon had to take his original form of Balabasur, and Balaram very easily thumped him one, and he had to give up his life. So this is the demon here carrying Balaram away from the area of play. And then this is Balaram giving him a good thumping. So what does Balambasura represent? It's the inclination to enjoy with the other sex, enjoy adoration, profit, distinction. These are like very dear friends to us, which are very appealing, but unfortunately, and they promise us happiness. But of course, we don't get too much happiness from these things like profit, adoration, distinction. Everything finishes at the time of death. So the idea is Balaram, worshipping Balaram, we can kill off our inclination to enjoy these things and increase our inclination to become God conscious, Krishna conscious. Otherwise, the opposite may happen. If we get too entangled in this material world, it can kill us, kill our Krishna consciousness off. So this is the idea of this demon. So when they would get tired of playing, they would lie down. Sometimes Krishna would massage Balaram, and Balaram would massage Krishna. In this way, there was a wonderful, sweet reciprocation of love between the two of them and between all of the other Gopas as well. So as the elder brother of Krishna, Balaram was always the object of his love and respect. And sometimes Krishna would say to Balaram, look, all these trees are bending down. They want to pay obeisances to you. They're like in their previous lives, they were Mayavadis, they were impersonalists, they wanted to become God. But now you've given them a chance to serve you, your personal form, and they're praying for your devotion. And this is actually true. And it's true that also, not just to Balaram, but to Krishna as well, the trees used to bend down and try to touch his lotus feet. Other things that happened which are very fascinating in Vrindavan concerning Balaram. Once he decided to dress like Krishna, that's right. He put on yellow garments, he put on a peacock feather, he took a flute, and he went out, and at that time, I think it was the Keshi demon Kamsa sent, and Kamsa described him. He'll be wearing yellow garments, he'll have a peacock feather on. So Keshi saw who he thought was Krishna, gave him a kick, and Balaram felt the kick. And he went back home, and he said to Krishna, "You have your flute and your clothes. I don't want to be like you anymore." That's quite interesting. Balaram, oh yes, one time when Krishna expanded himself as calves and the cowherd boys, when Brahma kidnapped them, and he was a cowherd boy and the calves for one full year. He didn't make Balaram aware of this, partly because Balaram had told on him about eating dirt, so he didn't want to get into more trouble. But Balaram was seeing some very strange activities in Braj. The newly born calves were neglected by the Gomatas. When the calves would come, when the older calves would come, suddenly the cows would leave the newly born ones alone and feed the older calves. And Balaram was wondering what's going on. Similarly, when the gopis would see their children, they would feel great affection for them, even more than for the ones who were just born. So Balaram would notice these things, and at one point he asked Krishna, "What's going on here?" And then Krishna explained to him actually what's happened. Very interesting. And Balaram also controls the lotus flower by which the petals are laid out, and how they travel between places in Braj. Because there's some huge distances, and it's not that they have to walk 50 kilometers or 100 kilometers in a day. But these petals would just open up, and there would be just a short distance away, or the opposite. If it's suitable for the pastime, the petals would close and the distance would become much longer. Especially when Jatila was looking for Radharani. So then out of Braj and in Dwarka, some pastimes which concerned Balaram mainly. There were the residents of Braj, they were really feeling a great deal of separation from Krishna. And one time, Lord Balaram, who was at that time with Krishna in Dwarka, went to Vrindavan to relieve the Brajvasis' feeling of separation. And at that time, he met with Nanda and Yashoda and the Gopas and the Gopis, and they would question him, "When is Krishna coming? When is Krishna coming back?" And he would do Ras Leela with his own set of gopis who were different from the gopis of Krishna. He stayed there for 2 months to give them that relief. And during that time, one time he summoned Yamuna, but Yamuna wouldn't come to him because he had been drinking Varuni, which he was thinking he's not in control of himself. Of course, this is Balaram, who's always in control. But when Yamuna didn't respond, Balaram took up his plow and he started to drag Yamuna to 100 streams. And Yamuna then immediately came and apologized, and Balaram accepted her apology, and they performed wonderful pastimes together. So then back into Dwarka, one time, after they had children, and Krishna's child with Jambavati was called Samba. Samba, he kidnapped the daughter of Duryodhan, called Lakshmana. She was going to get married, but Samba decided to kidnap her and take her as his wife. The Kauravas were very upset, and they arrested Samba. They conquered him by sending the greatest warriors they had to fight him. And when Balaram and the Yadavs heard this, they wanted to fight with the Kauravas. But Balaram pacified them, saying that they're our allies, we should find a peaceful solution. So he requested the Kauravas to send Samba and Lakshmana back, but they wouldn't release them. So then Balaram got very angry. He used his plow. His plow is very special. And he dragged Hastinapur into the Ganga. He threatened to. And the Kauravas became very scared. They surrendered to his lotus feet, begged for his mercy, and they immediately returned Samba and Lakshmana. They were married with great pomp. It's a wonderful pastime. So these pastimes are in the Srimad Bhagavatam, and it's worth reading these pastimes again and again. In Satyayuga, there was a pastime with a king called Revata, who had a very beautiful daughter who was very tall, right? And they weren't able to find a match for Revati. That's right. Revata is the king. So the king took her, Revati, to the court of Brahma for advice. And we know, because we've heard this before, when you go to Brahma, this was in the case of Indradumna, when he went to see Brahma for a short period of time, but when he came back, everything changed. 2 kings had come and gone. So same thing happened again. In the court of Brahma, they were not there for long, in Satyalok, Brahmalok. But millions of years passed on earth. So at that time, when they returned back, it was a different age. It was Dwapara Yuga. So Brahma then advised King Revata that, don't worry, there is a very suitable personality who is more than qualified to be the husband of your daughter Revati. And that's Lord Balaram. So they met with Balaram, they proposed the union, and Balaram was very pleased. He placed his plow, here we go, the plow again, on her head, and he made her shrink to his size, to the appropriate size. And he accepted her as his wife. So he had 2 wives, Revati and, what's the other one? I've forgotten the name now. If anybody remembers the name, please do let us know. It's a Kali Yuga brain, you know. So Balaram was equally affectionate, oh yes, to the Pandavas and the Kauravas. And he accepted both Duryodhan and Bhima as his disciples. But he particularly had affection for Duryodhan because Duryodhan had a little bit more superior technique. And Balaram liked that very much. So often he would take the side of Duryodhan. And people often wonder, why did he take the side of Duryodhan, who wasn't such a pleasant personality, as we know from the pastimes of his pastimes in the Mahabharata. So actually, this is all to increase the rasa that Krishna is enjoying, the rasa of persuasion and the thrill. So if your elder brother is opposing you, then Krishna has the challenge of convincing Baladev that actually we should take favor of the Pandavas as opposed to the Kauravas, and to convince Balaram. And in one instance, this happened. One instance was when Arjun came to Dwarka one time, and Shubhadra met with Shubhadra. Shubhadra was, Balaram wanted Shubhadra married to Duryodhana. And nobody liked that idea except Balaram. And Balaram was fixed on that idea. So anyway, it was arranged effectively by Krishna that Arjuna would kidnap Shubhadra, and that's what happened. He kidnapped Shubhadra. And of course, Balaram was furious. And Krishna's task, challenge, the rasa he would enjoy was to convince Balaram that this is the right thing that's happened. And of course, Krishna convinced him and very much enjoyed that pastime. So Balaram's role in this is to increase Krishna's enjoyment of different pastimes that take place. Even he may seem to be opposed to Krishna, but he's not really opposed to Krishna. It's just increasing the enjoyment that Krishna is getting from that pastime. At the time of Mahabharata battle, he didn't want to fight. He didn't want to take sides. So he went on a extended pilgrimage to the different holy places. But then at the end, he came back. He came to the war when it was just finishing. And he was witnessing the battle between Bhima and Duryodhana. And at that time, Bhima actually fought in a little bit tricky way. He hit Duryodhana below the waist, which is not allowed in a battle of maces. So Balaram became very angry at Bhima at that time. But Lord Krishna again pacified. Again, he enjoyed this ras of pacifying his brother from being so angry. Balaram was perhaps not as tolerant as Krishna sometimes. He was sometimes a little bit aggressive, a little bit like Lakshman. When Lakshman found out that KK wanted Ram to go to the forest, he was prepared to kill even his father. He's very aggressive, very angry, but Ram calmed him down. So in this situation, Krishna also calmed down Balaram. He said many things. One of the most important things he said, well, how is Bhim going to fulfill his vow that he would break the thighs of Duryodhana? Because Duryodhana said to Draupadi, sit on my thighs during the dice game. And Bhim had vowed. So how is that vow going to be fulfilled? And was that the right thing that Duryodhana did? What sort of person is Duryodhana, telling another's wife to sit on? So then Balaram didn't have too many answers to that. So, good, nearly coming to the end. Towards the end of Dwapar Yuga, yes, that's right. When Dwapar Yuga finished and the sages of Naimisharanya decided to perform a 1,000-year yajna in order to stop Kali from entering. Because as soon as Krishna leaves, Kali was to enter. So as soon as the sun sets, darkness enters. So these sages in Naimisharanya, and there were 88,000 sages sat in Naimisharanya to perform a yajna to stop Kali Yuga from entering. They're amazing personalities. So they chose their leader as a personality called Ramaharshan. And Ramaharshan is one of the main disciples of Vyasadeva. He was seated, I'm not sure. But anyway, he was seated when Sutta Goswami spoke, or Shukadev Goswami spoke. Yeah, maybe. Anyway, he was appointed as the leader who's giving the pravachan, speaking the philosophy and doing the yajna. Lord Balaram at that time came and everybody stood up because they recognized this is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But Ramaharshana did not. He was somewhat proud of occupying the position of the Purohit, the leader. So he didn't get up. And Lord Balaram detected this arrogance in Ramaharshan. And Balaram decided that he's not qualified to lead this august ceremony. So he showed Ramaharshan that your pride is useless, because I can finish you with simply a blade of grass. And that's what he did. Picked up a blade of grass and killed him with that blade of grass. So this is Balaram. He then instituted Sutta Goswami as the leader of that assembly, who continued with the yajna. And then Balaram went off in his pilgrimage. So Balaram, now he contrasts that with Lord Nityananda. When Lord Nityananda was present with Chaitanya, Jagai and Madhai, they actually caused injury to Lord Nityananda by throwing a pot of clay pot against his head, and transcendental blood came from the head of Lord Nityananda. But Lord Nityananda didn't get angry. So this is the same Balaram who came as Lord Nityananda, but with an added layer of compassion for the conditioned soul. So the compassion that Lord Nityananda has no match. It's the same Balaram, just added compassion. So this is the arena of the Naimisharanya, beautiful, magnificent place. And this is the blade of grass he uses. So the final bit of this seminar is that one thing which is very, very interesting indeed, that Balaram is the only expansion of the Lord who can relate with Krishna on the basis of all the different rasas, the 5 different rasas. So as Shanta Ras, he's the dam, the paraphernalia, the grass, you name it, he's there, enhancing Krishna's pastimes. But in Shanta Ras, quietly, no active participation as such. And as Dasya Ras, he would sometimes massage Krishna, he would serve Krishna in many different ways, always trying to find an opportunity to serve Krishna. And actually, every morning when we are doing Abhishek, we pray to Balaram before doing the Abhishek, that please allow us to assist you in this service. Because we're not doing the service, Balaram is doing the service. So we pray to him, please can I assist you in serving Krishna. Sakyaras, because they would play in the forest, and Krishna and Balaram would be constantly having so much fun in the mood of friendship, genuine, loving friendship. But Salyaras, Balaram's mood was also to protect Krishna, especially when they were in the forest. That was one of his mission, one of his jobs actually. If he didn't do that properly, Yashoda Mai would really give him a hard time. And in Madhurya Ras as well, because as far as we understand, Balaram also expands himself as Ananga Manjari, so that he enhances the pastimes that the divine couple have in many different ways. Lord Balaram ki jai. So if there are any questions or any comments, please do ask. Any realizations that you have, which you'd like to share with us?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Priti.
Who was the Manjari? Who was that?
That's
That's not the like, little girls, is it?
Sorry?
That's not the little girls, is it? That were around
Yes.
Radha and Krishna?
That's correct. That's correct.
So who is that specific Manjari?
Who is that? That is a sister. Is that a sister? No,
That's Bandura.
I can't remember exactly. Yeah, Jayanti's just going to have a quick look, see if she can find. But yeah, she has got a specific role, and in Vrindavan, and she's in a family. I can't remember whose family she's in now, but it's a very powerful. She's a very powerful Manjari, of course. None other than Balaram himself. So, any other questions?
Why does he expand into a Manjari? Because just
Yes.
on the personal aspect, it just doesn't make sense at the moment.
Because he wants to serve to the fullest capacity. He wants to serve Krishna in every possible way he can.
His younger sister, Radharani.
Yeah, younger sister of Radharani. Ananga Manjari is the younger sister of Radharani.
And he one of the younger sisters of Radharani was his wife or his consort or someone?
Who, Balaram's? No. No.
No?
Balaram's, no. That was Revati, and there was one other.
Varuni.
Varuni. Thank you. That's right, Varuni. I'm not sure who Varuni is, but those are the two consorts of Balaram. But why does he take this form? To enhance the pastimes with Krishna. What he can provide is Ananga Manjari. No other Manjari can provide. And he's also, as Ananga Manjari, he's serving Radha as well. Radha and Krishna. So in that way, he's enhancing the enjoyment that the divine couple would have. Because his mood is simply to give Krishna the opportunity to enjoy more. That's what he wants to do. His desire is to enhance, increase Krishna's enjoyment.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm just I guess he would take any form at any point to serve. If like someone else is getting a chance to serve, you might want to take a piece of that pie and serve.
But he won't do it in an interfering way, because the beauty of Balaram is because he's the original spiritual master. That means he wants us to become close to Krishna. So he won't interfere in our relationship with Krishna. So for example, and Krishna won't interfere in his relationship with us, with Balaram's relationship. As Dhanukasura, who was the donkey demon, Balaram killed him. Krishna didn't interfere.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because Krishna could have easily killed him, but he left it up to Balaram because he wanted to show that he does not interfere in what the guru does to the disciple.
Okay.
And the same that mood that Balaram has, that he will not interfere with us. But our mood is that, my dear Lord Balaram, you're always serving Krishna so nicely. Let me assist you in serving Krishna. That's one of our moods that we can have.
Okay.
And Krishna, and of course Balaram becomes very pleased with that mood, and he'll allow us to serve. Thank you. Thank you, Betty.
Thank you.
Anybody else would like to ask, or anything that you'd like to say, share? Anything you'd like to share? Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for your time. And so let's chant to Lord Nrsimhadev.